We love incorporating technology. I'd like to think we're young and we have phones and we have all this stuff and there's all kinds of cool software. I know that I'm not slighting, other contractors in the least, but there's a lot of these guys that are, old timers. They've been doing things their way for so long. Well, we love incorporating our new tech and new ideas and how we can better operate and optimize our time and everyone else's. And as I said, transparency and visibility into the project. And so we love using project management software to really kind of integrate. We have our customers have their own website, basically. I'm Mike. I'm the M in MJ Design and Build.
And I am Jackie. I am Mike's wife and the J in MJ Design.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about your business? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so we are a residential and commercial design and build firm based out of Arlington, Virginia. We've been in business for in MJ Design and Build for 3 years, but we've been working together, married for 15.
Okay.
I guess since the beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah, we focus mainly on, like Mike said, residential and commercial construction, redoing spaces, kitchens, bathrooms, basements, additions, both small and large scale.
Do it all.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we started back actually, I started when I was illegally 10 years old. My dad,
not the child labor.
my dad had been always my dad had always been investing, and he always had some projects. So when he was working on them, he had me and my brother always kind of in tow, just helping out. And even to this day, we drive around, and I'm like, oh, that's the dog pee house, and so all these I would say distressed properties. But nevertheless, I've always been kind of a hands-on in the construction and real estate industry. And one thing that was always kind of being from the area, one thing that we've been seeing over the last decade, if not more, is kind of a big transition outside of what we grew up with. And now there's just this huge push for all these developers just to make these monstrosities. Now, they're beautiful houses, these awesome craftsmen, but they're not the houses we grew up with. So one of the things that we kind of love.
And by that, I'm sorry, what do you mean? Not like the houses that we grew up with?
So it would be the standard kind of Northern Virginia homes that we saw in
Yeah, I think we're feeling like a lot of these builders, if you're talking about the builder piece, they're kind of popping up, especially in Arlington and Falls Church, these real out of place houses.
Yeah.
And so one of the ways that we got started is during COVID, I was actually in a totally different career. I was working in marketing for 15 years in hospitality. So I worked for Marriott for 10 years, Hilton for 5. And within 3 days of COVID, my position was furloughed.
10 minutes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had a very cool job, which we always joked. Cool jobs didn't make it long in that industry. And so we loved renovating our own house. We had done that and didn't kill each other. In 2015, like Mike said, he grew up in the industry. He was investing in properties, flipping houses throughout, and dipping in and out of actual residential contracting. But we both had different full-time careers. And then at the start of COVID, I started walking around our house and coming up with a lot of projects.
Yeah. And it started getting real expensive on a single income household.
Yes. Yes. So then Mike, he found another investment property, a flip. I know flips. Thank God for HGTV. Flips are not a 4-letter word anymore.
The other F word.
Yes. But so one of the things, though, going back to kind of what we grew up with, the first flip that we did together was in a neighborhood that we knew really well, where we had friends that grew up. We played back in those woods, and a model of home, this rambler that you find all over Northern Virginia, that we both grew up playing in with various friends, and so it was really fun.
Not that exact house.
Same model, yeah. And so it was really interesting for us, instead of, a developer or builder just demoing it and building some huge house, to actually take a home and remodel it, bring it up to kind of more modern and current kind of design and flow, and rethink it, but not completely change it so it feels like it's out of place.
Yes.
And so that's kind of how we got started.
Yeah. And one thing we find is, we started doing a lot of interior renovations for these homes. We're doing relocations of kitchens and rearranging and making a more functional space.
Yes.
Obviously making it pretty is also the other imperative. But one thing was all the people who were coming into the house, they were seeing, there may not be like a huge volume of inventory in the market, but they were seeing what we were doing. And it was a little bit different because we were actually, almost funny, we were building it for ourselves. And thoughtfully, we were building it for our friends and things and so we kind of felt like, so we had a lot more of instead of let's just get it, white shaker cabinets and send it. It was more like, what if we did it this way? Or what if we like kind of adjusted the layout so that actually, you can get a crib in here, or so kind of a little bit more of a ideas that we were making it for the people, and then all the people who were going through it, they're like, dude, I loved what you guys did there. Now I didn't get that house, or it wasn't right for me, but at the end of the day, they were calling us and saying, hey, can you make that kitchen for me, or can you do that bathroom for me? Actually, funny enough, one of our first customers loved one of the bathrooms we did in one of the houses so much. She says, hey, Jennifer, she said, I want that bathroom in the basement over there off of Slade Run. We're like, okay, cool. So let's get designing. And she's like, no, I literally want that bathroom.
Oh.
That tile, that shower, that shower glass, that vanity. I want everything in that bathroom. I want it. So it was like, basically, it was like organic demand that we had.
That's
kind of like
pretty cool.
Pushing us out into it. And I say it was like the COVID catalyst that really kind of kicked us off, because I wouldn't be able to do it without Jackie. And
Dynamic duo.
Jackie, I don't know, maybe she'd be able to do it without me. I don't know.
Now, what kind of style do you guys have as far as like home? Is there a particular like niche look or a particular style?
Well, we're not necessarily we're not really investing as much anymore, but I think Jackie can kind of tell you some of the style that we have, or
Yeah. So that's my part.
So you do the design, okay?
So actually, just backing up to introduce us in what we do at the company. So Mike leads the build side, and so he's a general contractor. He manages all the subs. I'm the designer, and so I work hand in hand.
You got the look.
Clients.
No offense. You do too.
So I am a designer, and I work closely with our clients, with our vendors, and then with our teams on site to pull through whatever design we come up with. And so in terms of our personal, our kind of company style, or even when we were investing more, we don't have a set style. I'm actually like a very firm believer in this. If you can rattle off a coined phrase to describe your style that quickly, then I do like to challenge my clients to say, well, let's think about that a little bit so it doesn't feel themey, or we're not just like picking up from a magazine a trend that is really popular right now, because I think that all styles should be eclectic to some degree.
Yes.
I think you can have an underlying, a modern vibe, or a real love of mid-century modern, or a real love of antiques and kind of Victorian style, but I think balance is so important so that we don't end up with like just a West Elm catalog. Not that there's anything wrong. I love West Elm. And so,
but just variety.
Yeah. And I always tell my clients, what's funny is when I'm done, when we're working together, you're more than welcome to come over to my house anytime, but you won't actually know my personal style because my job is not to help infuse what I think looks great. My job, especially coming from my background in marketing, is really to dig in, understand what you're drawn to, what you love, and help you elevate and pull it all together. I'm like your design friend or partner. So we've done projects where we'll have one project going that's like super mid-century modern, like a very updated take on a Brady Bunch style, which was so fun. And then at the exact same time, we were working on this like ultra romantic Victorian antique. We were sourcing everything from
that.
Yes, it was like so Leesburg. So we kind of stretch either way.
Okay. And did you guys ever think you guys would be working together?
No, to be honest, I don't think I ever really saw the path that we're on. I mean, through the years, I've had a couple different projects that Jackie's helped with, but she's always been really career driven and focused on what she was doing. And there was not like a kind of an idea that you should quit and come with me and let's do this full time. It was absolutely happenstance, and very lucky, I think, that we were able to kind of have this shift. I mean, I think a lot of people's lives changed over the last, couple years, to say the least. And I think, as I said, the COVID catalyst really kind of came in, and I think making the best of what was happening, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
I do think, we definitely never sat down at a table and said you should quit your job and let's dream up this company. Like Mike said, it all kind of just happened to us and we wrote it. But I was working in marketing, very career driven, MBA from Georgetown. Like I was Miss Boss Businesswoman.
Love it.
Not really. And Mike was dabbling in this world. He was always working in it. I always enjoyed being a part of it. But when I'd say two things were really clear that we figured we would work well together, aside from just being married and enjoying each other. But when we planned our wedding, we had a lot of fun. We didn't want to kill each other the whole time. And
I was going to ask, is it easy working with each other? I know people are like, okay.
Surprisingly, well, it's difficult in some ways, but it's really, then when we renovated our own house, so we did a huge renovation on our own house in 2015, and we just, I think, realized then, well, reflecting on that time, that we both kind of know our strengths and stay in our lanes and then tap each other. So it's not like, all roses working together, but I think
that's normal.
Right. I think fundamentally, though, the fact that I trust and rely and just think so highly of how his brain works and the things that he is great at. And I think, and I at least feel like he is the exact same way with me. Like he just is so supportive and trusts my judgment. And so with that, we're really able to work really well together. Not to say, I think the downside is
there's
when a married couple.
Well, you take a lot.
Sounds about normal.
Take a lot of it home, right? So we don't leave anything at the office. It's hard to leave things at the office because home office and our coworkers, and we have our lives together. So leaving that at the door sometimes is a strain. But we're trying to set more boundaries. And again, we have. In this industry, a lot of people are working 9 to 5, and they don't really have a time to talk until the end of the day. So when we're doing a project with somebody, they get home, and then that's when they want to talk about everything when we've been dealing with all day. So there's a kind of a fine line of working after hours, but there isn't really kind of after hours, especially when you're running your own business.
Yes.
Small business. So.
Okay, and then as far as marketing for your business, how does that go? How do you guys do that to reach other people?
Well, I mean, right now, as I said, how we started was really kind of organically, and I think was just kind of such
word of mouth.
Yeah, well, it's just organically. People were coming and seeing our work, right? If you sit there and paint on the sidewalk and someone loves it, they're going to buy that painting. Well, we were doing that in houses, and someone was coming by, and they're like, "I want that."
In the houses we were flipping and selling in the market of 2020.
And then we kind of went through that, and then people were, obviously word of mouth was huge, and that's still huge for us. Again, the extended word of mouth is the social word of mouth, which is reviews and people referring on next door, saying, "Hey, anybody know a good contractor?" Well, 4 people come in and say, "Hey, MJ Design Build did something awesome for us. Please reach out to them," and they do. So, we have this great kind of momentum, to say the least, and it's based on, I think a lot of it is what people are purchasing, or what they're buying is they're buying us. We have a lot of experience. We have built a kind of a process, and we're able to really kind of deliver. We have the components in place. We have the great individuals that we're working with. So, as a general contractor, I say I'm a generalist. I know a little about a lot, right? And I'm not a specialist necessarily in any single trade, but that's why we then find and source the best tradesmen in those different verticals that we can then say, "Hey, listen, this is my plumber. He's going to know everything we need to know about plumbing," right? I'm not going to tell you that exactly. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you exactly what needs to happen. Now I know what typically has to happen, but I'm going to rely on the expertise of others. And so we really try to fill all our knowledge gaps. And we're not a couple that are going to tell, sorry.
No, I love that.
Yeah, we're gonna, there's not going to be areas where I'm just going to lie and tell you that I know something and I don't, because you can't get caught lying if you don't lie.
Yeah.
And that's why we always say above board transparency is key.
And I'm sure they appreciate the integrity.
Yeah, exactly. So transparency is key, and that's what we kind of really carry through, is really want to be honest, real, transparent, and just kind of delivering, you're buying us, and we're not going to sit there and BS you.
I think, too, just going back to kind of the marketing piece, it's absolutely word of mouth. It's the proof is in the pudding. I think when people see what we've done in neighborhoods, there's a lot of trust there with these older homes, especially that we've been in the home, we know what to do. We're not some big glitzy company that will come in and be like, oh, you've got to tear this all down. We recognize the models of these homes. We grew up in the area. Nothing scares us. So we have so many people that will go into their house and they're like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Like, don't look at the basement. It's totally unfinished. And especially coming from our background in flipping, we're like, oh my God, we walked into condemned houses. I have been pregnant with our second while we were working flipping houses. And there were a number of houses that I wasn't even like, I had to wear masks and be very careful in because they were so gross. So yeah, nothing spooks us that way.
We're I think 3/4 of the way done with a large project that when we got into, I had removed 13 30-yard dumpsters of trash and debris, which math-wise is 39 cubic yards of trash, just junk. It was the most junk-laden place I've ever seen. But
house too.
Yeah, it's impressive. So it was, but it was one of those things where that's part of the adventure. It's not necessarily the end goal.
The glow up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's our favorite part. I recently heard a contractor and design team that I follow and I really love. They build out in Utah, and he was talking and he was like, somebody asked him a question: do you guys renovate or do you only do new builds? And his response was, oh, we only build new because renovations are really hard. And because there's so many unknowns, it's a lot simpler in some ways to just tear down and build. Yeah. But that's not for everyone. I mean, that's super expensive. That prices people that we know and love in these communities out of these areas. And so we both love the challenge, though. We love going into a space and saying, all right, of course, we could just do this huge addition and get what we want. But how can we be really creative about how we rework this space to achieve what this family needs and to think smart about how we might adjust things, maybe a small addition, but think creatively as opposed to just like blank slate, let's build this beautiful home.
And even beyond that, just even like the granularity of like the function of how am I going to accomplish a bathroom here? How am I going to get plumbing from A to B with all of these components that I can't touch in the way? So, it really is just problem solving, and I really thrive off that. So it's not just, as I would always say, it's not if, it's how. And there's always a way. You just got to figure it out. And so we just sit there, and sometimes it's just staring at it and be like, what am I going to do? And then you have that just like the flash, and you're like, I got it. Okay. Let's go, move on. And it's just so gratifying. So I love that component of it, being able to really just do that mental flex of just, finding solutions. It just really drives it.
Okay. And then have you guys had any challenges as far as with the business that you would like to share and how you overcame that?
Yeah, I think, Mike kind of touched on this earlier as far as boundaries and kind of process goes. We've definitely had to figure out how to still be authentic to who we are. We like to get very close to our clients. We are relationship people. We are definitely not the contractors that are going to come in and sell you and then you're never going to see us again, or we're not going to answer our phone. We're on site basically daily. And so that, though, we've had to really challenge ourselves to figure out how to set those boundaries, though, because that casual kind of nature, we're really fluid people, unlike, some of the builders, it's like they lock you into something and then everything's a change order. That's not really our model. However, with that flexibility and fluidity and closeness with clients, we've definitely had to then figure out how to set boundaries, how to set a process that protects us, protects the client too, and formalize things in a way that also doesn't take the humanity out of it. Though.
And there's kind of two things that I think as any business owner you'll find. I mean, there's things that you don't know that you find out, and sometimes it's the hard way, sometimes it's the easy way. Well, we love incorporating technology. We're, I'd like to think we're young, and we have phones, and we have all this stuff, and there's all kinds of cool software. I know that I'm not slighting, other contractors in the least, but there's a lot of these guys that are, old timers. They've been doing things their way for so long. Well, we love incorporating our new tech and new ideas and how we can better operate and optimize our time and everyone else's. And as I said, transparency and visibility into the project. And so we love using project management software to really kind of integrate. We have our customers have their own website basically, or a portal they can log in, and we have the Gantt charts and all the calendar of events, and then we have back and forth questions and decision and pictures and all that fun stuff. So we like to keep it digital. It helps us streamline our communications because I don't know how many times it's happened, but I'll have a conversation with one of the customers, and the spouse, me will have a conversation on text, and then there'll be a 3-way email, and then there's one with Jackie, and then there's and it's a mess.
I always joke that half of my job is marriage counselor.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see that.
Exactly. So yeah, there's a lot of decisions that need to be made across the board. Another thing is that besides tech, tech can help solve some problems, but without having the basis of the how to run the business itself, you learn it, but you're not taught it. It's not something you're taught in school. You can go ahead and take some classes and whatnot. But what we did is, I have enough know-how. I was able to set it up, get all this, and we rely on accountants and all this other stuff to make sure that we're structured right.
The business.
Yeah, exactly, the business. And one thing what we really I think had some of the largest takeaway was we hired coaches. We hired business coaches.
I always hear that about business owners, that they get coaches and it's a game changer.
Well, we really struggled. At first we were like, this is a huge investment. Like, do we really need this?
Yeah, we had a contractors coach that literally helped teach us how to be better contractors and gave us tools and know-how and just basically fast-tracked it, like helped us avoid what I would say a lot of landmines.
Yeah, and it wasn't like we didn't talk about like building code and paint colors. It's engagement. His guidance was more about like your contract and how you when you deliver a proposal, do you get on the phone, like your welcome packet, like things like that he really experienced over the years and knows tons of contractors. Or we would go to him with a problem. It was our business therapist. We called
That's
him,
nice to have.
Like, oh my God, we're really struggling. Like we just ran into this issue. What do we do? We're thinking through a couple options.
The customer is this. We don't want to do a change order, but I think it is out of the scope. Blah blah blah. Yeah. And so you say, part of it's just you got to be confident. This is like part of how it goes.
Which was and that's like, to me, that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give any small business is to find your mentors in the industry and people who are willing to open up and to give you that guidance and to bounce ideas off of. I know Mike
put it out there
with like our contractor. A GC that we used to renovate our house when we were both really busy in our different careers, like he's still in the industry and he's a huge resource for Mike. And I know for me, like from a design perspective, I know a few designers that I can pop ideas off of. But then I also, if you can't find a mentor locally or, can't find the time for that, even just constantly digging in for information. I follow a lot of designers and design.
That's a good way to get inspiration.
It is. There's so much information that people are willing to share. Yeah. And so, I get so many ideas. I'll come off Instagram and I'm like, oh my God, I just did this Q&A with,
so-and-so.
Yeah, I for Pretty, this designer that I love. And she showed her welcome pack. And I didn't think about including that in there. Things like that are just great resources to constantly be learning. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And again, we learn something new every day. And, sometimes it's trial through pain, growth through pain. But sometimes it's, hey, that's a really cool thing we can do. That thing would add a lot of value. And so we try to, again, we want to, get as a project in and out as clean as possible. And you know what? I think, God forbid someone has fun in construction.
God forbid.
But some of our customers do. I mean, there's always going to be pain, but there's always, not necessarily always be pain, but there's always kind of the struggle and the trials, and there's decision fatigue. Someone's like, I don't care anymore. You pick. And I was like, no, I get it. I feel it. But,
my job is to say, no, we're going to care because you're spending so much money.
No, you do it. You pick.
And I will help you pick, but we are not just like painting the whole house the same color.
And I'm sure they appreciate that in the end. Like, you know what? Right. You're right. Thank you for pulling through it, not giving up.
One of the things that I like to do is push as many decisions at once so that people are really thinking big picture.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I really try to do is know each person and come up almost with like a custom plan for designing and selections based on when I get to know the person.
Yes.
Because some people, I don't want them to sit in a room for 2 hours and design an entire kitchen and pick every finish because some of these ideas are going to come out organically.
Yes.
But at the same time, I don't want every decision to linger. So for a full 2 months,
got it.
Every day I'm asking you, okay, now we have to pick this. And so it's kind of that fine line of, most importantly, really digging in deep with people, getting to know them, and then figuring out how we can make the process as comfortable and productive as possible.
No, I'm sure they appreciate that
It's
time and care.
not surface level, right? We aren't just, this isn't a business transaction for us.
Yeah.
We really are emotionally invested.
That comes through with your personality and just the way you guys talk about it.
We're
Can't get rid of us.
I love it.
We're passionate about it. This is something I love. I mean, at the end of the day, we have an impact in the real world. We have an impact in people's lives, and that's also a huge stressor, right?
Yeah.
You know, we want
The
to do
pressure is
the
very
best
high.
by our for our customers, and we want to do the best for everyone. So we're going to go above and beyond and do what is necessary whenever it takes. And I think it really kind of comes out when we can deliver a much more kind of holistic product when the customer can look back at their whole experience. I think I'd like to say that most of them had a pretty good thing to say about us.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And we say,
All
you
of
know,
them. All of them.
I believe it.
yeah. Construction it's such an emotional roller coaster, and it's one that like.
I don't think about that. I just think like, get it done, let's go, okay? But
So the other thing, just going back to my like geeking out on psychology,
Yes.
which is my like real day job, I like to say, my side hustle is just like psychoanalyzing everything.
Geeking
and
out is
everyone.
judging. No.
I mean,
I'm just thinking, but construction is one of the strangest and most foreign purchases you'll ever make because it's a lot of money. You've spent your entire life hearing horror stories. The contractor who disappeared with your money, the guy who didn't do it correctly, the kitchen cabinets that glitch, whatever.
We call that a lot of times it's scar tissue.
Yeah,
Scar
scar
tissue.
tissue. Even if they've never done a renovation, it's incredibly expensive, and you're kind of signing on and hoping for the best. You are also signing on. You don't know how it's all going to look.
a lot on the line.
A lot on the line. When you buy a car, even if you buy a really expensive car, it's a huge investment, and then you immediately walk away with this pretty thing, though, and you get to be like, oh my God, okay, I know I just spent that much money, but look at my cool new car. You commit to all this spend. You obviously don't pay it all up front, and then you don't get to see this finished product for quite some time. And actually, before you even see the finished product, you take your kitchen, which maybe you didn't love, maybe you hated, and then all of a sudden your house just gets completely upended. And you have to live through this renovation, which is really tough. And a lot of our clients, because we're in more of the renovation business, we're not doing new builds, a lot of our clients live through the renovations. A lot of them are in tight spaces to begin with. A lot of them have little kids, they've got pets, they've got work from home lives. So there's a huge emotional roller coaster of like, I'm so excited. Okay, I think I can see the potential. Can't wait to get started. And then everything gets demoed in a day. And it's like, oh, this is going to be done in like a week.
Overwhelming.
And then it gets real dirty, and we try to keep our job sites really clean, but and then you are living in this world for a long time. And so it's very emotional for people. And so we like to we do an intro call when we kick off a project where we walk through that, even just to be like,
set expectations.
Yeah.
Good.
It's what it is. I always say is the first 25% of work. No, sorry. The first 75% of the project happens in the first 25% of the time.
Yeah.
The last 75% of the time is all of the detail, and that is what kind of. Then you feel there's this weird thing. The project launches, the demo happens, the floor is clear, the walls are bare, everything's ready to go, and then everything screeches to a halt when they're waiting to just make sure that we're doing all of the plumbing, everything that's in the walls. It just takes time, and it's not something that we want to rush. And it feels like things kind of slow down tremendously, which it does on the grander scheme. But
just
the end
in
of it,
terms of impact, they're not slowing down
then it picks back up with just large events. So it kind of launches, plateaus, and then before long, where everything's starting to get put back together, and we're kind of spackling and painting on the way out of the house, and just dusting and going.
It is emotional for people, though, and we see all different types of personalities, and even those that have done renovations before, that it's a huge, not only financial investment, it's a huge time commitment.
Absolutely.
People have these busy lives and careers and families, and you have to make time for planning your renovation.
Oh, yeah.
We do have a lot of people who want to meet on the weekends or want to meet in the evenings, and it's like, guys, we run a business and also have a family.
Those boundaries we were talking about.
Boundaries are super important, and you have to commit to it. And so we try to consolidate and be really respectful of people's jobs and their priorities. But you'll find so many of the shops and the places we have to visit are only open 9 to 5 during the week, because And so
That's the
even that part is-
investment.
it's
That's
an
the time.
investment.
That's a time investment up front.
Yeah.
With us, with our vendors, and
Yeah.
making sure that we can get everything. Because one thing that we do also want to make sure happens, and we don't want to happen the wrong way, is when we do a lot of upfront planning. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about this. It's just really the more planning you can do up front, it helps a lot. Everything helps everything down the line. So one of the things that we do for a bathroom or kitchen, we try to get everything planned out and what is going to be purchased, all the finished items that are going to be installed. One thing that helps us with our schedule, because if we know that the cabinet line that we're going to be selecting is 6 months out, well, we're not going to demo your kitchen today and leave you in the bare for 6 months without a kitchen.
Yeah.
So part of that is we really want to make sure that we can get as much upfront planning done so that we can be most efficient. I don't want to be on site and involved in your home longer than I have to.
Yeah.
One thing we really try to do is that we do have our crews stay on site on single jobs. We don't parse them out into multiple jobs at the same time. We have multiple crews, but we'll take them
dedicated
and
designation.
have them on site for as long as they can, as long as we can take it.
great.
Sometimes it's all the way to finish. We can do things that other contractors might take twice as long to do. We can be just really more efficient and being able to apply and make sure that my guys will be there Monday through Saturday. Sometimes Sunday if they'll have us, but really Monday through Saturday. Whereas I've seen other crews, other companies, they'll have someone on Tuesday here, and then on Thursday they'll be at another site, and then Friday another site, then Saturday back at your site. So for us, there's a lot more management in doing that. Now I always say that I'd rather make one person really happy than 3 people not happy.
Yeah.
So you can do 3 jobs just as quick as you could do 3 jobs as if you do them one at a time versus doing it all at the same time.
Now, it's just you guys running the show. Like, do you guys have any other? Have you ever considered?
So we've brought on a couple at different times. We brought on some support
Some
and
junior PMs and whatnot.
junior project managers, construction, and we haven't found the perfect mix of what we need because at the end of the
Which
day,
is
because M&J is Mike and Jackie Design and Build. We've brought on some people that maybe weren't experienced enough to really truly be a true project manager in what we needed, because we really need somebody who can take some of this off of us. Whereas the thing about hiring, and this was a big part of my last career. People are only going to be as successful as you have time to train them and help grow them. And so we are super busy. We also have 2 children. And so we found that at the junior project management level, we didn't necessarily have the infrastructure or the time to be able to train up and really give somebody that much time. We kind of needed somebody who could take it.
Get it back.
And what we realized is it is bringing on a third person to meet with clients. It has to be somebody who can embody and trust. And so, because you're mostly working with us. And so now what we're seeing is we probably need some more support kind of across the board, more from a labor perspective, understanding construction, being able to work with our guys and get materials if needed, be able to drive a dump truck, a mini Mike,
and a mini Jackie, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing we have made hires, and they were great, and they filled a number of gaps. But every time we did, we identified as well, is that really where we need the help, or how do we, how can we fully maximize their position to make them successful? And sometimes we can't invest that much time to be able to bring someone that junior up. And maybe what they're able to do is not something that we really need done, that they're really good at. So there was a couple times where it just wasn't a great fit. And I think there will be scale that we will need to have more support.
I think so too. You guys seem on the come up,
Yeah. We just got to figure out how and who.
One of the things that we're doing now, though, is we kind of took a step back to think, okay, where are our gaps? Where are we struggling? Where do we need help? And
Jackie's doing a SWOT, it's analysis.
Like I said, MBA background, so
here's our strengths and weaknesses.
It was literally New Year's Day, and we're looking around, and I'm I've started.
And my phone's just going. It's New Year's Day. And
I'm okay,
my phone's going
off about
not again,
just
one day.
Yeah, but when you really take a step back, because it can be when you're really busy, and this is what happened with us.
Yeah,
we were super busy, and we're oh my god, we need to hire somebody. And so, and your brother actually gave me some of the best advice I've ever heard. and I'm sure he heard it from somewhere. He's an entrepreneur as well. Clearly runs in their blood.
Clearly.
Not in mine, by the way. I was like terrified to start
Well, it
business.
could. Now it will.
Now it will, I guess. But he said, hire slow and you fire fast. And I think what happens, and this happened in my old world too, so often, especially when you're smaller and more nimble, you don't hire until you really, really need it. And then you're like
Scrambling,
and you're like trying to make things work. So you'll meet somebody and you're like, okay, this is great. Like, I could see it, and you're not.
About 60% there. No, like,
But you
need 100.
You get the glassy eyes, you're kind of just like, oh my God, this is it. Like, this is going to save us. And so what we've really been trying to ask ourselves is like, what exactly do we need? And is it a person that can help fill that? Or are there tools? Are there softwares? Like Mike mentioned, we actually, we had a couple different project management systems we were using. And therefore we were like, okay, we need a project manager.
Any AI by any chance?
Well, a little bit. But so then we realized, what if we actually just invest in a more sophisticated, it's an expensive tool, but we use Builder Trend. We absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, but that filled so many of those gaps that now we don't need like a mini Mike running to these job sites and checking in because our guys can be in there. We can be in there. It's just more consolidated.
Yes.
So we're kind of challenging ourselves to think, how can we fill some of these gaps with technology, with software, with external support? Can we pay a bookkeeper to do these reconciliations in our QuickBooks as opposed to bringing on somebody that we have to pay benefits for, that we have to train, that, So we've been thinking a little bit that way too, of like, that way we give ourselves some time to think, all right, once we outsource some of that to either technology or, there's just so many things out there that can help support your business that don't have to be a full-time employee. And then once we get through some of that, then we can kind of see, okay, do we need a third?
And on that note, what advice would you give to small business owners who are also looking to hire or thinking about it or even just starting a business?
I really think exploring both the free and paid resources out there is a great first place to start, because it is really scary as a business owner to write a paycheck.
Well, it's not only that, it's you're also giving a piece of your business to somebody. And to run. I mean, and I think that's the one of the...
It's your money. Like, it's
your baby.
It's your baby and it's your money. Like, so when I was in corporate, somebody came and said, we have a hiring budget. That budget it's not your money. It's not like if you don't hire this person or if things get slower in the hotel industry, you're still going to pay this person out of your own pot. Like, whereas when you're in a small business, it's really, really scary to commit. There's a lot of financial investment to train people, to get them set up with, benefits. And so explore as much as you can and make sure you know exactly what you need and that this person can be set up for success.
Right. Well, I think it's the time investment. So I think one of the things that will be very important that we just really were not equipped or prepared for mentally to be able to commit the amount of time it would take to make sure that the position was able to be, someone would be able to be successful in. So it really, you have to sit there, you have to plan the training, you have to get them up to speed.
I think it was time, but I also think we uncovered, though, like what I was saying earlier,
different
that
gaps,
we maybe didn't even need that to begin with. And we thought we did because we wanted a quick solve. And what I will say is hiring is not, it should be like, you should explore and really dig in to make sure that what you really need is personnel before you just hire somebody. Because sometimes what you need is something very different. And you're hoping that like, okay, I'm just going to hire this person and they're going to make these problems go away. But, it won't necessarily, and it might make more problems.
Yeah, but just the same thing is hire slow, fire fast.
And so many small businesses, like, hire support, get somebody, outsource your bookkeeping. That is a great one. We also, speaking of coaches, we brought on very early on, we had an engagement with a woman who, she's not an accountant. She's like a bookkeeper and an expert in QuickBooks.
Spire, was it? It's Spire, Business Spire. God.
But she helped train us in QuickBooks. She helped simplify us so that we weren't spending so much time like getting really confused or messing up the books, because the books are really important, especially in our industry.
Well, that's the thing is, especially on the back end, you can't manage what you don't know. And that's one of the biggest shortcomings of running a business is maintaining and managing the back end bookkeeping so you can actually have visibility into the health of the company. A lot of people use their bank account, right? But they're not taking into account future liabilities. and knowing that like, hey, I might have $100,000 in the account, but I've got $110,000 of liabilities that I'm going to be paying in the next like 2 months. So do you really have $100,000, or are you negative $10,000?
Oh my gosh, that's a great way to look at it.
So you have to really, so without knowing and being and having them set up in the foundation for your bookkeeping, you can't really understand the business. Because maybe if you do have $100,000 in the bank and you're like, hey, well, I'm going to go ahead and buy this equipment today, thinking that you have $100,000, even though you're actually technically $10,000 in the hole, and then you just spent $20,000 on some equipment. Now you're $30,000 in the hole, versus like being very smart in how you can really manage and run the business. Because then you're living basically hand to mouth. Every money comes in, goes right out, and that's what you don't want. That's not a way to successfully run a business.
I think just like running a government, just like anything, being a mom, it's about your community too. You need to hire or seek out experts that can help you grow when you're a small business. And sometimes those resources can be free, like I mentioned. Instagram for us, it sounds silly, but I can't tell you how often we both follow these like different builders and stuff, or these like tile installers who it's like just every day they're posting these like really beautiful, really interesting things that are like, oh, that's cool. Like that's an interesting way that they did that, because you're always growing. That's free. You know, that's just free learning. There's podcasts, there's business books, and then there's experts that can help you, because most people that start a business, like they're not going to be a jack of all trades. They're not an expert in everything. They don't necessarily know tax law and understand bookkeeping if they've got this amazing idea for a company. And so surrounding yourself with experts, I think, is to me one of them, and just resources, people that you can bounce ideas off of. I know people who are in investment groups and they're in small business groups. Go to the small business meetup. Meet other small business leaders like you, because you can learn so much. I was struggling last year because I didn't work for a designer. And so I was struggling, before we did this. And we faced this challenge where I felt like I had these designs, I had all this information between me and the client and this vision, and then I was struggling to find the best way to communicate that to the guys. And it was feeling like basically I just had to be on site to tell them. And that is not a way to do things. My kid would be sick, or I'd be needed someplace else, and they're getting ready to lay tile. And it was like, oh, but I needed to be there to like make sure that they laid it.
Yeah.
It wasn't working. And so I ended up doing a call with a company that are local. They're called Link and Layer, and they help small businesses. They actually are a big digital, like they'll do people's websites and a lot of branding and marketing. However, they're also just two women who partnered up and started a business. And so they're also just give incredible strategic support. So I did this call with them. I gave them some background, and they are not designers. I mean, I guess they're web designers.
Yes.
They are not in contracting. They have never worked for a design build. And it was one of the most productive, incredible calls for me ever, because they listened to what I was saying. They're just smart women. One of them had lived through a renovation. And so she's like, I have some ideas, actually. What about this? And it was so helpful. And that was, I think it was like $100 for the hour. And it was the best $100 I've ever spent.
Wow.
So I highly recommend them. And again,
What is their name?
Link and Layer.
Link and Layer.
Yeah, and they were just awesome. And they host meetups. Like I haven't felt like I've needed to engage in those types of things, but they have so many resources for small business owners, and especially women who, want to connect with other small business owners. So I think seeking out those things in your community is huge.
Okay, that's great advice there. And now I know you guys live and breathe this. What do you guys do outside of work? Like, what do you guys enjoy? Any hobbies, or is it always like on the grind?
Funny thing, we bought a house. So we are a little distracted right now in our spare time because we bought a house that we intended as an investment property, and then saw the incredible potential, and so now we are building it for us. So we've got our own big renovation, which is a huge undertaking. I'm very excited. So that takes up a lot of our time.
Largest project to date for MJ Design and Build.
Like, this is why we love investment properties and flips, and doing our own projects.
Well, yeah, that's
we
the
have
couple
rental properties.
the leveling up. So this is basically, we've been, we do a lot of stuff for ourselves. We work with a lot of contractors that we hire for our own projects.
Out on our project.
And so one thing is that there's rarely a case where we try something new on a customer. We always do it for ourselves.
Yeah.
So basically, we're building a house for ourselves. Not that we're really going to want to be in the home building market, we have done a ton of additions, we've done all this other stuff, but right now we are building a house. And so when we're talking about MJ Design and Build and the capabilities of what we're able to accomplish and have a confidence into, as I told you, I don't want to BS the customers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be confident in something that I've done before. And so a lot of times, one of the values of working with us is that we have a number of projects that we're doing across the board for ourselves, and we are doing basically what we're doing for our customers already for ourselves. So we're clearing the field and making sure that we're going to be able to do it successfully and as seamlessly as possible.
Okay.
I think so. Right now, that's taking up a lot of our time. We have 2 little boys. We've got a 6-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. So we definitely stay busy with them. We love to travel. I know everybody says that, but we definitely.
I mean, it's a great thing. Why
It is.
not?
And you know what's interesting about being a small business is you have so much more, depending on, I guess, what your small business is. But in a lot of ways, you're so in control of your schedule and how many clients you have on. So it's great because you don't have to ask for permission to go on vacation, right?
Well,
like
yeah.
you can,
I mean, it's the
but you can't go on PTO. There is no such thing as PTO. Like we went to Italy last year, and we trust our guys. We love our guys. However, we can't not be in the country for 2 weeks while project's going on. And so, while it's amazing that we had this flexibility to take our family to Italy and really disconnect from work, but that also meant we didn't schedule work for that whole month,
Yeah,
which was
scary a little bit.
We scale it back, make sure. But as I always say, is that quitting your 9-to-5, 40-hour a week job, and we started our own business to work 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
So
not more.
The dedication.
Yeah.
There's highs and lows, with everything.
Yep. Do now what others won't, so you can live later like others can.
There you go. That's a good. I'm gonna quote that there.
But yeah, we do, especially because we don't work in an office anymore. We like to go out a lot. We like to eat out. We just we're in this kind of constant seeking of balance, and so Mike is very outdoorsy. He likes to go dirt biking.
Yeah, do all kinds of stuff: hiking, camping, dirt biking, all the fun stuff.
Stuff.
Adventures.
That's what it's all about.
If it gets me close to risk of death, I like it.
Not that. Not the death part.
Just close. Grazing it. There's
Grazing
always
it.
There's
We'll
always
allow
a
that. All right, and just to wrap it up here, if you could have one message that you could give to the world, you have a megaphone here. What would that be?
That's a really great question. I said.
My first thought is
I don't know.
bring your animals inside.
What?
Don't forget to spay and neuter.
Catch and release.
God.
Well, I think if it comes back to circling back to the business, what is one of the most important things that we would probably tell our customers to do? It's, and I say it's what would you
I
say?
have one.
Yeah.
I think I have one.
Okay.
Give it to us.
So, trust your gut and trust yourself. I struggled so hard with imposter syndrome when we started this. I felt like I had no business calling myself a designer, even though I was getting
Trust your gut. You would have quit.
I would have quit. I tried to quit multiple times, by the way.
You can't quit.
I tried to quit.
She's like, I'm talking about the family.
You
No.
can't. And I was like, no, I want to quit. And he's like, you can't. She doesn't build. I hate to break it to you.
It's just M.
My
build.
imposter syndrome
build.
was out of this world, and it was very new for me. I've always been a super confident person, but we took such a leap and such a jump, and what I have found is I was just so convinced. No, I'm not trained. Nobody crowned me a designer. But I started digging in and finding that so many of my favorite designers, like Shay McGee, I mean, look at her now. I for Pretty, I love her so much. None of them went to school for this. She was an elementary school teacher, and Shay McGee was in marketing. They just started it, they trusted, and then they learned and they got the education to back them up, which I did too. But do not let your imposter syndrome get in the way. This is especially for women. No offense, but I have not met many men, him included, that suffer from imposter syndrome. It's just this incredible energy that they all have. For women,
We build.
For women, do whatever it takes to try to get past that imposter syndrome.
To piggyback on that, I wouldn't think it's just gender related. I think there is scary moments. You start doing things you haven't done before. You start having you're going down these untread paths. You're pathfinding, right? I think one of the things is you have to realize is that you can't get the analysis paralysis. You have to just do it sometimes. And one of the things that's most important is that you are going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's 100% going to happen. Make a mistake. It's going to happen. Do not fear it. Just make sure you're doing as much as you can up front to prevent it. Now, I can't guarantee we're not going to make more mistakes, because I guarantee you it will.
It's part of growing.
But at the end of the day, is don't live in fear. You have to move forward, because you're never going to get better unless you do it. Right? So that's I think the thing.
Trust yourself.
Great.
Trust yourself.
And be nice to your animals.
Don't forget to spay and neuter. No.
Catch and release. Perfect. Thank you guys so much. That was great. That was very. You guys have great energy.
Kenergy.
Energy. Oh my gosh, Barbie.